Hello and welcome to the Google Ads course by JB Marketing, and this is what is Google Ads, the Google Ads fundamentals that will show you what Google Ads is, how to set up accounts, what the different campaign types are, and how Google Ads can show. If you've already got experience with Google Ads, then you could probably skip this episode and just go straight to the second video, and that will be talking about how to create specific campaigns. So how do Google Ads appear and where do they appear? So the first, and I'm sure you've already seen this before, probably thousands of times, is Google search. And when you Google something, say you Google Nike shoes, you'll get a search result that says buy Nike shoes or something along those lines, and that will be an example of a search ad. You'll be able to tell which are search and which are organic because it will say sponsored above them. The next is shopping, and this will probably be used most if you are an e-commerce brand. This will appear above search results and will feature an image, a price, and the title of the product, and that whole section will say sponsored above it there. The third is display ad types, and these appear across Google's network and across third-party websites and blogs. And this will just be static images, sometimes featured with a button and text as well, which you can add within the Google Ads interface. YouTube ads are pretty self-explanatory, but these are video ads that you will see on YouTube. There's a mix of campaign types or campaign structures here, so you can get bumper ads or those skippable ads or non-skippable ads. There's a few different types there, but video ads will mainly be on YouTube. You can also get app ads. We won't cover these in this course, but these will be if you're promoting an installable Google Play or iOS App Store app. And this will incentivize people on Google to find the app and download the app, as well as complete in-app actions. You also get Google Maps ads. These are if you have a local business or you have a service that works in a specific region. You can either show up bigger on Google Maps when people are sort of scrolling around that region, or if people search your product or service, you can make sure that you appear up there on the Google Ads. So why use Google Ads? There's quite a few reasons. First and foremost, it has billions of people using it. It has 8.5 billion searches a day, I think. And that's a lot of people searching for products, services, information that you can use Google Ads to get in front of. It also has the most advertising spend. It's the biggest ad channel. $209 billion expected to be spent this year on Google Ads, which is up from Meta Ads. Meta Ads is about 184 here. Google Ads, not like TikTok and Facebook, is not disruptive. You don't just randomly appear during someone's feed or while they're scrolling. You're appearing when people search for your product or service. So there's a lot higher intent there. If someone searches by your product, you can show up for that product. How does Google Ads work? So step one, someone makes a search for your product or service. Google will then run a behind-the-scenes auction, and you and the other advertisers will be competing to appear first, second, third for that keyword. This is based on a few things, not just whoever has the biggest budget will get this, but it will be based on how relevant your ad, your website, your product is to the query. You don't want people with big budgets being able to show sort of random things for when you search for a specific product. So this is on Google's side to improve the search experience, and also means that you can optimize your ad score, your bid, to appear higher up and to compete better with other advertisers. The ads then shown. So yeah, there's a few positions on page 1. There's ad positions on page 2, 3, 4, every page. But ideally you'll want to be on page 1, which means you have to be pretty competitive. The user will click, and then on search ads, you pay only when they've clicked. So it's not like social, where you can pay per impression or pay per view. You're just paying when someone clicks. So if your ad doesn't resonate with someone and they don't click on it, but they see the ad, that doesn't cost you anything though. So how are Google Ads accounts structured? At the top, there's accounts, then there's campaigns, then there's ad groups, and then lastly, the ads themselves. These all have different hierarchy and different settings within them. Your account level, that's where you'll be setting your billing, your users, you're setting up your conversion tracking here. And then at the campaign level, you'll be controlling the campaign's budget, the bid strategy of that campaign, you'll be setting the location and what the campaign type is. Within the campaign, there are ad groups or asset groups if you're running a performance max campaign. And these ad groups are sort of usually set by themes. So you'd group product by either profitability, potentially product category, potentially just price point. You could also split things up with if there's a different phrasing or a synonymous term for your product, you could have that as a separate ad group potentially. And that just means you get slightly more control for one section of products or keywords as opposed to another. Then obviously within that you have the ad, which is the actual text or image or video that will be shown to the end user. There's also bidding strategies for each campaign. And there's a bunch of these here, and all of them have different use cases or different pros and cons depending on what you're trying to do. The most simple and the oldest in Google Ads is manual CPC. That's where you say, we want to show for Nike shoes, we don't want to pay more than £1 per click. That will be a manual CPC bid. And there's a few reasons why you might use this. So really small budgets we'd recommend if you're just testing something out, or potentially brand campaigns. Often if you appear anyway organically for a brand, you might not want to pay too much to appear slightly higher. So usually we'd recommend brand campaigns, but potentially with a maximum CPC, just so you don't spend too much on your own term. Maximize clicks is the step up from that. So if you have a £10 a day budget, you're just saying to Google, spend it and get as many clicks as possible. And then Google will sort of optimize towards like good quality, but also just sort of volume of clicks to the website. And this is good if you're testing things out or if you're going after brand awareness. Next step up, maximize conversions. This will be a similar thing, but instead of optimizing for volume of clicks, it'll be optimizing for volume of conversions. So if you say you have a £100 a day budget, this will just try and get as many conversions as possible for that £100 a day. And this works for lead gen and for brands where there's sort of a decent amount of historical conversion data so that Google knows sort of roughly who it should target to get those converters. Target CPA is the step up from that, and that will be just assigning what you would like to pay for a conversion. So if you have a £100 a day budget, you want to get 5 conversions or so, you set a £20 CPA, and Google will sort of optimize and try and get you a conversion for every £20 that you spend. This is where you care about volume, but you also need some efficiency in there. After that, you get target ROAS and maximize conversion value. Now these are what Google calls value-based conversion strategies. So these actually take in the value of a conversion on your website. So if you make £20 a sale, this will pull into Google Ads and it will know that a conversion is £20 or that conversion was £20. Target ROAS is next, and that is a value-based bidding strategy, and that will aim for a target return on ad spend. So for every £1 you spend, you might want a 2 ROAS. So every £1 you spend, Google will try and return you £2 in conversion value. And this is really good for e-commerce brands or really any business that uses value-based tracking. So this also does work on SaaS brands or some subscription models where every month you can pass through like how much revenue that user has generated. And Google will know then sort of higher revenues better, and it will know those kind of customers and should optimize towards those. Maximize conversion value is similar to maximize conversions, and that will just try and get you the highest value return for your ad spend. So this doesn't matter if it's a sort of a low ROAS or a high ROAS, it will just try and get that number as big as possible. And again, this can work with e-com brands that don't necessarily have a strict ROAS or are potentially just in the learning phases and don't really have that conversion data or that value data to optimize towards. Google Ads is pretty powerful and a really, really great platform that you should run for your business. It's not just about like running ads and hoping for the best, which I think social is sometimes. You reach people sort of as they're searching. You reach them at the moment that they're looking for your product or they're looking for information about your product, and they're sort of actively engaged in the buying journey. Google has a massive reach, 8.5 billion searches per day, and obviously across the globe. There's a ton of data The bid strategies they use machine learning to sort of learn from your conversion data and optimize towards getting more customers, more high value customers. And that's powered by all these 8.5 billion searches. So even if it's not your data, Google's learning in the background, and it's getting better at targeting people and getting better at trying to gauge the buyer journey and how people think and how people search. And that makes it pretty powerful as a platform. So in this video, this is just video one. This was just a brief overview of Google Ads. The next videos will be about specific campaigns or bid strategies. They go into a lot more depth about how to set up and how to manage and optimize your Google Ads account. This is just an overview of sort of what Google Ads is. And we also covered sort of the bid strategies and what a few of those are, went through a few of the campaign types, went through what Google Ads auction and sort of how you appear as an ad, and we also went through account structure. Then next we'll be running through building your first search campaign. So this will be choosing your goal, explaining the different keyword match types that you can have, how you choose a bid strategy for this campaign, how you can write a great ad, what negative keywords are, and then some additional features that Google Ads has for search campaigns, so extensions and different targeting options you've got there. But yeah, I hope that was useful, and yeah, follow along for the next video.